I had COVID back in November of last year. I was pretty sick. It lasted about 20 days. I lost my taste and smell and have since been labeled as a long hauler because I still don't have my taste and smell, and I was suffering from heart palpitations. I saw a cardiologist though, and everything was, fine. So they kept me on my beta blocker. On June 3rd, I decided to get it was my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. You don't get the white card unless you get the vaccine, and we all know we need the white card for everything. About 2 days into it, I had chest pains, and I ended up in the hospital, and I had pericarditis from the vaccine. They put me on a steroid, they put me on an antibiotic, they put me on an anti-inflammatory, and they gave me nitroglycerin in case I were to have any more chest pains or feel like I was having a heart attack. My body had gone into an inflammatory response because of the vaccine. I went to a cardiologist, and he said I'm now tachycardic and bradycardic, so I will need a pacemaker at some time, but at this point we're just sticking with our normal protocol. So he gave me magnesium, he gave me potassium, he gave me more antibiotics, and he gave me more anti-inflammatory. About a month later, I suffered a blood clot, superficial on the thigh or on the shin. It was not a big deal, so they gave me large doses of ibuprofen. On August 1st, I went for a run, and when I got done, I knew something was wrong immediately. It was a pain like I've never felt. I'm a runner, and I have felt muscle pains or breaks or, just other injuries, and I knew this was different. It felt really different. But the next day we were flying out to Alaska. We hadn't flown since June of 2019, and so we were super excited to go. So we went. Had a great time. We hiked all over higher elevations. I climbed up and down 6 flights of stairs, I don't know how many times, and I flew back home. The calf pain got worse, and about 2 days later I finally went to a doctor, and the doctor said we need an ultrasound right away. The radiologist came in and said, I have bad news. You have a deep vein thrombosis, and we need to do a CT scan immediately. So they sent me home with blood thinners, and then on Friday, I still hadn't had word on the CT scan, so I called Mount Baker Imaging. They told me to call my insurance company or agency or company, Primera. So I called them, and Primera said, you need to go to the hospital right away. And I said, why do I need to go to the hospital? They said, you need the CT scan right away. We need you to go to the hospital. So I drove myself to the hospital. I get there, and sure enough, they do a CT scan, and I had suffered a pulmonary embolism. And for any of you that don't know what that is, the blood clot in my leg then broke off, traveled up the vein, through my tummy, through my heart, and into my lung. People can die from it. I was very, very fortunate that I didn't. The next morning, they sent me, I had the blood thinners. The next morning, I woke up in severe pain, and so I called the paramedics, and they took me back to the hospital, and I had suffered a second embolism on the way to the hospital. So my story isn't to talk you out of getting the vaccine. I'm pro-vaccine. I vaccinated my children. I got this fucking vaccine. So it's not to tell you not to get the vaccine, but it is to tell you that there are side effects, and for some, they go about with no side effects at all. But I want to tell you that I'm with you on those of you that want to wait, that you want to see how this pans out, on those of you that think this is an overreach from our government, on those of you who just plain are worried about it and want to give this some time. I am so with you. I will stand with you on that hill. And for the rest of you, the ones, the Jimmy Kimmels, and those of you that are shaming the anti-vaxxers and wishing death or harm on them, I want you to look at this face, and I want you to remember my story, because my life hasn't been the same since I had this vaccine. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody. My body, my choice, right? What I wouldn't do to exchange this basket of shit for my health back. So I want you to think about those people. Think about other people's stories. Walk in their shoes. Give people grace. Give people love. We need to meet in the middle here. We need to realize that each one of us comes to this table with a different set of experiences. And of course, I'm going to say this vaccine sucks. But I'm not telling you to not get it. But we got to listen to each other. I just hope that we can somehow meet in the middle here and just provide each other love. Be well, everybody. Be well.